Oh no. Ow!
Isn't my Toad voice great?
Oh no. It's a go.
Hello, my beautiful goombas, and welcome to the Nintendo Everything Podcast, episode 15. I am your host, Oni Dino. With me, I have Prince Fluff himself, Galen.
Hey!
What?
It sounded like the fluffiest thing I could have said.
So, full disclosure, Galen has no idea what I'm going to say when I introduce him every single time. And I don't even know if the reference was on point or not, but it was Prince Fluff, who is the player 2 in Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn, coming out for 3DS.
I gotta be honest, you threw me off because I was waiting for the announcement to all of the local kids and squids out there.
Yes, I decided to change that. I had been actually wanting to change that for a while, but I was lazy and not creative. And then one of our most lovely of commenters, she pointed out that she would like to hear it changed. And I super agree with her. So I made the extra effort because she wanted to hear it. So shout outs to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try and vary it up every single episode. We'll see. I don't know if I got enough creativity in these bones.
This will be very interesting.
Yeah, I'm kind of a dry bones when it comes to creativity. So Galen, how are your Plant Boy sessions going in Smash Ultimate?
Oh, they've been going okay. I mean, he's still a fun character to play as. My personal experience with Smash has kind of lessened a little bit. I haven't been playing that as much as me kind of breaking off into the other games that I've had in my my waiting library. So
Yeah, I understand. Scrubs fall off, I understand. No, I'm right there in the same boat. I have not been playing it anywhere near as much as the first week when it came out. But I do want to get back on that. I haven't even played the online. My friend's like, oh, I'm Elite Smash as Piranha Plant. And I'm like, I haven't even turned on the online.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I've been burnt out a little bit after I got way too much into the spirit mode. So, yeah, way too many refreshes, way too many, okay, when's the next legendary going to come up? When can I do it? And I've got a problem.
Yeah, you sound like the ideal audience for smartphone gaming, microtransaction, nonsense gotcha stuff.
And that's why I stay as far away from that stuff as possible.
Yeah, knowing you and your personality, I'm surprised you don't have some sort of gambling addiction or anything like that. I think you've been doing pretty good for yourself.
Thanks. I haven't got my chip yet, but still waiting for it to come in the mail.
See, now that's a really interesting thing I just did there sociologically. Instead of doing a backhanded compliment, I did like a front-faced slap and then complimented you after I slapped you. Like, oh, you look better with that handprint on your face or something like that.
So you just did the psychological equivalent of thank you, sir, may I have another?
Except, you're welcome, sir, you get another.
What?
I don't know. This is weird. Let's talk about something else.
For you sociopaths at home who are listening to this,
No. So guess who won't be an all-star in Smash? That's Dante from Devil May Cry. This is the most non-news topic that people are talking about this week. It came from an interview with Itsuno, the producer of the Devil May Cry series. He was asked about Dante in Smash because everybody gets asked about their characters in Smash. And he was like, well, a Devil May Cry game hasn't been on a Nintendo console before, so first things first, Capcom put a game from the Devil May Cry series on Nintendo platform. And basically it's up to Capcom. And then everybody's reporting on it, and it's getting lots of clicks, and yeah, it's nothing. There is no news there.
Yeah, I like during this article how right after he said that, he pointed at the Capcom representative that was actually in the room, and he was just like, come on, I'm saying this, come on, listen to this. Yeah,
he's like, talk to her. Tell her about it, not me. So, in this episode, we got tons of news yet again. There is all this interesting info about Xbox Live coming to Nintendo Switch in some form. And then we also got more updates, details, elaborations, and clarifications from Nintendo on their financial results and their releases and unannounced games for this year, plus improving Switch online services with new offerings. And then all this other news in between too. So we got to get stuck in. We got to get into all this news.
Mm-hmm.
And so just before we do though, I want to say a big thank you to all of the listeners, and a big thank you especially to those of you who have shared the podcast, given us ratings on iTunes and so on, because our show is growing steadily and we're really happy and we're really grateful for all of your support. And I don't know, I hope that you all have like a really nice day or something, because I don't know, I feel really grateful, and I don't know, just want to do something nice for you all. So I'm sending out some nice day vibes, if that's not a thing. That isn't a thing, but
absolutely. Yeah. Personally, I'm really grateful that people are actually listening to us, and
we got lots of listeners all around the globe.
I know, and that is kind of what is most surprising. Like, it's encouraging to know so many people just in general want to hear about video game news and video game opinions on that. I'm very humbled.
I hate when people say that they're humbled, but I know what you mean. I don't know why. It's like a pet peeve of mine. But anyway, we should learn how to say thank you in all these different languages.
Arigato.
Good.
Hey, I beat you to it because it's like one of 3 languages I know. So...
And of course, a quick reminder that this is a weekly show. Episodes go live on Sundays in the States. iTunes and Spotify listeners get it bright and early on Sunday morning. Our website and YouTube, it comes out midday-ish. And we're also working on a few other platforms for the near future. If there's a place that you want to see our podcast but you currently don't, let us know and we'll get working on it. So let's jump into our adventure logs for this week. Galen, why don't you tell me what you've been playing?
So, a bit of personal information. I live in the Midwest of the U.S., so I have been hounded by snow and well below freezing days. So, I've been stuck inside and been kind of going on my backlog of indie games. Lately, I've been really getting into both Bastion and Shovel Knight. Fantastic games, fantastic music to go along with them. Like, I can listen to those soundtracks all day, no problem.
Yeah.
I've also kind of learned that when I'm playing games of this caliber, I sometimes get into these ruts where I make the same mistake over and over and over again.
Yeah, I would say that one of your classic characteristics is not learning from your mistakes.
I am going to do this, and I'm going to force my way through to do this.
Yeah, I dialed the wrong phone number, but this time I'm going to press the buttons even harder.
I am a very stubborn person, and that actually showcases a lot in the way that I play. Like, Shovel Knight especially, because I die in one section, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to go back. I'm going to get all my crystals and gems from that, and I just fell down the same hole. This time, I'm going to collect all the stuff, and I just fell through the hole again.
You know that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, that kind of thing?
It's all the shame. I just incur all of the shame.
Yeah. But it's endearing. It's one of your most endearing, infuriating traits.
I'm glad that I am entertaining to watch. Oni, what have you been playing lately?
So I finally got the chance to sit down with Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes.
Oh, did that game come out? I hadn't heard.
Shut up. Galen is poking fun at me from something he did to me 3 episodes ago. Ignore it. So, this game has been a bit divisive, right? Reviews have been somewhere around like the 5 and 6 out of 10, all the way up to the 8 and the 9 out of 10. So I went into this with, tempered expectations, and I've now gone through the second world and played all the little bits in between too. And I gotta say, this game is very good.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed my time with it. There were a lot of things that I did not expect about the game. So, gameplay-wise, let's talk about that first, because that's kind of the biggest contentious part.
Mm-hmm.
After playing the gameplay, I realized that this isn't as much of a hack and slash as I thought it was, and I'm fine with that. Like, I like Warriors games, so I was fine. It kind of isn't hack and slash, though. It's cleverly disguised as one because you have to strategize how you get hit and how you don't. Well, that sounds like the greatest interpretation and observation ever. You have to strategize how to not get hit. The reason I say that is because you have like a charge attack and you have increasing attack levels. You go from like level 1 to 3, and receiving damage reduces your attack level that you're currently at, so then you do less damage. So you obviously really want to avoid getting hit. You have your light attack, which does very, very little damage. That's the attack that you see Travis running around and just swinging and going through enemies. It only kills the most jobber of jobber enemies. It doesn't kill anything but that. Those enemies are few and far between. There's already like, I don't know, 6, if not more, enemy types that I've fought so far, and they're way harder, and doing that attack is actually basically useless. So he has a heavy attack, and this heavy attack is heavy AF. It is truly, truly weighty. It takes a lot of time. You can't dodge cancel through it. So you have to strategize when you're going to do that, especially if you're trying to avoid getting hit, so that way you can keep your attack level up, right? And you move around very quickly. It's this interesting balance of slow and fast on a dime that you have to really get used to. And I enjoy it. I super enjoy it. Also, there's like wrestling moves that you do on the bosses, kind of like a Donkey Kong Return style, where like Travis goes in, he does a finishing move, and he's gonna like do a German suplex or something on the guy, and it says, okay, now do this button, and it's a callback to the first 2 games. And you know, in Donkey Kong Returns, like Donkey Kong would run up and he'd be like, I'm gonna punch this guy in the face, and then you have to like mash the Y button or something like that, and then you just like punch him a whole bunch of times, and then you win. It's kind of like that, and it's just like super hype, and you're like, yo, I'm gonna do this, yes, German suplex. And I mean, I just get excited. I even beat a boss twice because I went back into the stage and got some secrets. And even going through it again, knowing what was going to happen, I still got like almost as hype as the very first time I saw it. I was like, yes!
Sounds pretty exciting.
It actually is very exciting.
And I'm really happy to hear that it is more than just a running hack and slash type, you know, twin stick shooter.
Yeah. Again, though, this gameplay, I think that it is going to still be divisive? Divisive? I don't know anymore. Language. So I do still think that this is going to be difficult for some people to swallow, but it isn't like it's super shallow gameplay. That's not true. That's a criticism you can throw out the window.
Yeah.
It feels kind of like a top-down version of like Strider Hiryu games, where you do have your attack that you're running and you're attacking at the same time and you're cutting through a couple enemies, but then the majority of enemies you have to really watch what you're doing.
So there's a level of timing and intuitiveness that you need to have when playing the game in order to proceed further, and the game rewards you that with the more damage and sustaining that higher damage output. So
yes,
I like that.
Exactly.
I really like that.
And you learn that real quick. You learn that about halfway through the first level, because initially you're like, oh, I can do this and just cut down every enemy. Nope, not the case. Not at all. Those mid bosses and those final bosses, really hard too. You got to recognize patterns and stuff. Just good, solid game design stuff. Just some good gaming stuff. Now, I just want to touch on a little bit more. Like the game is not just this gameplay, which is good. I really do like it, but it's also these crazy character designs that are weird and creative, really good writing that's, of course, as expected, but it's very punchy, witty. It keeps you really invested as you're playing along. And there are these like side missions where you go off on your motorcycle and then you have these interactions with all of these totally different people in order to progress the story. And it's so funny. I just could not stop laughing while I was playing it. There was a image I tweeted out on my Twitter where they talk about like some real nerd shit. Like they're talking about the dark web, they're talking about wrestling, classic films from the 80s, internet jokes, old Japanese filmmakers. Your cat, Jean, is a talking cat in those sections who loves murder.
What?
Yeah. It's just wacky stuff. Like, I feel like if you are a person who appreciates like just weird things that kind of don't go together and messy things, or like New Japan Wrestling or Adventures of JoJo. Why did I just say that? JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Jesus. I think you're going to be charmed by this game. So do check it out.
Nice.
So this week, one of the biggest stories that we heard was through a now deleted GDC schedule listing. GDC is a Game Developers Conference. I believe that's what it stands for.
Mm-hmm.
News that Xbox Live in some form is coming to mobile devices and Nintendo Switch. So we don't really have too many concrete details on what this really means. GDC is not till mid-March, so we won't really know about this for another month. But we do know that it deals with Xbox Live connectivity to the Switch. So I'll read a quote here. Developers will be able to bake cross-platform Xbox Live achievements, social systems, and multiplayer into games built for mobile devices and Nintendo Switch as part of its division-wide effort to grow Xbox Live's user base. I think I stuttered with that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another quote here where it says that the intended audience is, quote, game producers looking to plan a multi-platform strategy that brings the most active, engaged players into a community where they can watch, buy, play, pause, and continue their games from one device to the next on top of the most reliable social and multiplayer network in the world, end quote. That's kind of interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. So I had to reread this article when it first came out, because when they were first talking about Xbox Live on the Switch, my initial thought was they have been doing so much work to try to make their games backwards compatible, especially their online games. So I was like, is that what they're doing? Are we going to start seeing like old Xbox games on the Switch? That's not what's happening here.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with games.
Correct.
This is more of the social aspect of Xbox Live.
Correct. So, I mean, this is really just, if you are playing, I'm going to take a cross-platform game, so like Fortnite, for example. You're going to be able to unlock Xbox Live achievements while you're playing it on the Switch. And that's, they're doing that to be like, see, I don't know.
Yeah, I really don't know why they're doing this, but I have my suspicions, right?
I think it's a smart move on Microsoft's part.
On Microsoft's part, I totally agree. Very smart.
Yeah, because, I mean, what you're doing is you're putting yourself forward in, if you're going to be playing a game on a different console, it's reminding you that this game is also available on Microsoft. It's stepping beyond that kind of stigma that used to be, because I remember just 5 years ago, even, when I was asking myself, okay, do I get this game on the Xbox or do I get it for the PS3 or the PS4? What system are my friends playing this on? That was a deciding factor. If more of my friends who were going to be playing this game had a PS3, I would get the Sony version of it versus the Microsoft one. This is Microsoft basically taking that question out of the equation.
For games, at least, that overlap with the Switch and mobile devices, right? Oh, and also PC.
Exactly, but it's still casting out its net and casting a wider net. So I think it's a smart move, but this is purely a business move from them.
Yeah, because Microsoft wants hands in and control over everything with this approach using their Xbox Live service, right? Very smart from them on a business perspective. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how they go forward too, because I'm interested to see how Microsoft proceeds with the Xbox brand in general. Just based on some stuff that they've been saying, stuff we've seen from them in press conferences and whatnot, it almost feels like they're going to try and turn the Xbox brand into less of a hardware thing and more of a cloud gaming software social thing.
Yeah.
But it's still really up in the air and we don't know anything about that. But I think this next generation is going to be really, really interesting to see.
Well, and I feel like, and this is pure tinfoil hat speak right now, but I feel like this next generation is where people are seriously going to sit down and ask the question, is it worth making newer consoles?
I think that we'll reach that at some point, but I don't think it's this next coming generation. I think they're going to get hurt by making another new console that doesn't really need to be made before they start asking themselves that question.
Well, and I'm looking at the trends of how things are going, like digital games versus physical games.
Right.
The reliance on and need for online access to play even single-player games.
Ugh.
online reliability is becoming such a stranglehold on a lot of the games that they're developing that coming up with a system that will run cloud gaming, it's a predictable evolution of how things are going to go.
Yeah, I agree with you, but here's the big problem with cloud gaming. The Western market, such as North America, they're a huge portion of sales in video gaming industry. Cloud gaming does not work in North America because the internet sucks in North America.
Oh yeah, no, we are literally 8 years behind everybody else when it comes to internet. And just not even that, the way that we handle the providing of internet.
Yeah, those are two separate issues, but I totally agree that both of them are bad. I understand the landmass issue of, look at how huge Canada is, for example, but how small the population is in disproportion to that. So you need to build all of these towers and you need to build all of these lines across a huge landmass to reach all of these people, so the internet's not going to be powerful because there isn't enough invested interest to do that, right?
So here's the thing. It's not that there isn't an invested interest. It's more that the internet companies right now are not allowing development into higher end and more accessible internet.
In Canada, yes, that is the case, but it's also part of like...
In the US too.
Yes, but they're different. In Canada and US, they're different situations. Like, isn't it Belco that owns all of the towers, actually, in Canada? And then, like, the government put, what do I want to say? I don't know if it was a law or if they just kind of forced their hand into, you need to sell your stuff to third parties that are your competitors. Like, it's very interesting in Canada. It's weird, because it got real bad real quick.
Yeah, they developed a monopoly, and the monopoly kind of, like, got shut down because of government influence on that one. I mean, I feel like we're kind of getting a little off topic here.
We are, but this is an interesting topic.
This is. I would very much like to talk about this later. I am interested to see, cycling back around to what we were originally talking about, I'm interested to see what Microsoft does and what they provide to make Xbox Live an appealing aspect. I'm wondering what Nintendo does to kind of counter this.
I don't think Nintendo's going to do anything to counter this, though. They're already letting them go on Nintendo.
Well, and I'm saying counter this in regards to, like, okay, Microsoft is doing this thing where they're trying to reach out to multiple platforms. What is Nintendo's response going to be?
I mean, I think them being allowed on the Switch is Nintendo's response. You know what I'm saying? Like, Xbox can't just suddenly develop this social platform or whatever it might be for the Switch without getting Nintendo's explicit approval and getting some sort of agreement, business agreement.
Yeah. And I'm not refuting that one. I'm just saying, if Microsoft is coming out with this kind of a business strategy and this type of a format and this kind of a program, is Nintendo going to come out with something equivalent where Microsoft is saying, okay, well, everybody can use Xbox Live. Now Nintendo's going, oh, shoot, well, let's start using more Nintendo stuff on other things.
I don't think so. I think it's going to go the opposite direction if it's going to go anywhere.
Really?
Yeah, because I think if Nintendo is conceding to allowing Xbox Live doing something like this, Nintendo, I think, will not try to directly compete with them, because if that was their interest, then they wouldn't allow them on the system in the first place. You know what I'm saying? They're controlling the floodgate of allowing Xbox Live onto the Switch, so why would they allow them and then directly compete with them?
Because if they don't allow them on the first place, Nintendo gives off the impression that they are the ones who are blocking this kind of progress. And to be fair, being able to have cross-platform playability, that means if I have a Switch, all of my friends have Xboxes, well, I don't have to get an Xbox. I can stay with my Switch and still play with everybody else.
Yeah, I agree with those things.
There's a benefit for Nintendo on this, 100%, because it's opening up a market share and it's allowing Nintendo to be a viable option for people who have normally been more enticed onto playing Xbox games. So I'm seeing why they would allow this to happen. But Microsoft's coming forward and saying, well, now all of your Xbox Live achievements are now trackable and you can view them on the Switch. My question is Nintendo going to do something in regards to that in a similar mode? They've gone on record before stating they want to increase their online presence, and they want to broadcast their IPs out in more directions, especially in the mobile market. But it wouldn't be too far of a shot to be like, well, let's showcase our IPs on not necessarily some other platforms, but some other avenues in a more enticing way.
I have no idea where you just went with that sentence. I was with you until you started saying words. Boy, that can sum up our friendship.
Yeah, it's 12 years, 15 years, how long it's been?
Well over 15 years. Yeah. Yeah, so of course I agree for why they're putting it on the Switch. I don't think that they're going to put it on the Switch and then compete with them directly. That totally doesn't make sense to me. So I don't think that they're going to do anything about like achievements or something like that. If they were going to do something like that, they would have done it like at the start of the Switch at the latest. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't see them doing it.
Yeah.
I feel like My Nintendo could be that achievement thing for them.
Mm-hmm. Normally I would agree with you. However, Nintendo has, with their entire online approach to things, they have been very, we are putting blinders on to what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And we are building our internet structure up from the ground up. And I've gone on record saying that before in the past, that that's basically what they've been doing. I'm just wondering if if they are going to take this Xbox Live accessibility into consideration when how Nintendo is pushing forward and creating their own online network.
Yeah, we'll just have to see.
I know.
But the takeaway from all this, I think, is now with Xbox Live coming to Nintendo Switch, now 12-year-olds can call you homophobic slurs while you enjoy any Nintendo game online.
Well, they'll have problems because they can't like actually say it, or they can shout it at their TV
in voice chat. Yeah, they can.
Switch has voice chat?
No, dude, this whole thing was with Xbox Live that's bringing voice chat over. Did you miss the news? Okay, so there was a bunch of news announcements, but we're just going to talk very briefly with some quick fire news on some of the biggest headlines, or at least some of the most important headlines to me and Galen. So we just got news the other day that a whole bunch of Baldur's Gate games are coming to Nintendo Switch as well as other platforms. We're going to be seeing Baldur's Gate, Baldur's Gate 2, Baldur's Gate Siege of Dragonspear, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, and Neverwinter Nights. All of these are classic, iconic Western PC RPGs, and it's going to be glorious to have them on a handheld, and hopefully with some touch interface, because that really helps. And this is a partnership between Skybound Games and Beamdog. All these games, apparently, are coming this year in 2019, and some of them are even going to be on display at PAX East in March. Have you ever played any of these games?
I have not, and I've always wanted to. The Baldur's Gate series has always been one of those games that I've heard tons of people talking about it. It's like that movie that everybody talks about that you personally have never seen, and it's all because of you've never had the exact moment where it's been right in front of you, or the offer has been in front of you to partake in it. That's me with Baldur's Gate. It's like somebody saying, I've never seen Back to the Future before, and you have that reaction of, what? How have you never seen it?
Gotcha. Now with them coming to Nintendo Switch, you have no excuse.
I'm actually really excited, because I want to play it, and having to play it in a handheld format is absolutely perfect.
Me too. And also, PSA, there is now a demo for Kirby's Extra Epic Yarn on the 3DS eShop.
Mm-hmm.
Galen, you and I played this game a little bit together back on the Wii, didn't we?
Yeah, way back in the day.
Yeah. I remember you being particularly terrible partner.
Yeah, absolutely. You remember what I was saying before about, making the same mistake like 20 times until I finally just forced my way through it? Yeah, that's basically me playing a Kirby game.
Yeah, you're one of those people that like falls out of the tree, hitting every branch on the way down and grabbing whoever is sitting on those branches.
I just like the company.
We also got some statistics that the North American install base for the Nintendo Switch is now more 50-50 for male and female users. This is particularly notable because the early demographic for the Nintendo Switch was heavily skewed, with males accounting for 70% of the player base. We can also compare that the Switch skews slightly more towards female players than either of the two other consoles, meaning PS4 and Xbox One. Ages for initial Switch owners skewed towards people in their mid-20s to mid-30s, but later demographics began to skew both younger and older. All of this sounds pretty good to me because you want diversity in your audiences on multiple levels. Galen, what do you think?
I think this is great. I mean, this is a great stat to just come out of nowhere, really. The age and the demographics of people who are actually purchasing the Switch, that totally makes sense to me.
So, hey, I just had a thought. I'd love to hear from our listeners, too, about what your demographic is and like how you use the Switch and whatnot. I hadn't thought about this when I was putting together notes or anything, but yeah, if anybody wants to write into us and tell us kind of their story. I do remember one of our lovely listeners before. I think his name was Chris. He was in his 50s and he was playing the Switch at work sometimes, and I don't know, I loved that story, so I'd like to hear a little bit more, so feel free to write into us.
Yeah.
Our email is at the end of the podcast. Or I could just say it right now because I could just not be a jerk. NintendoEverythingPod@gmail.com.
See, you said it was coming at the end, and now it's right here. Now everybody knows what that expectation is.
It's going to be at the end, too. It's going to be all over the place. Oh, and also, coincidentally, there's another bit of news that relates to this about, like, gender. So we'll be talking a little bit more about gender later on in the show, sort of on the other side of things, on the developer side of things. So stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Okay. Two new games are coming to Nintendo Switch Online this month. That is Kirby's Adventure and Super Mario Bros. 2. Both excellent games.
Yeah.
However, I still personally can't help but feel that the Switch Online is still just... I don't know, it's just not quite there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still happy about Super Mario Bros. 2. I feel like the whole... Hey, this game was originally supposed to be Doki Doki Panic. It just got skinned over. Like, that whole fact about it has kind of, like, degraded its likability as a game, which, personally, I think it's a shame. I think it's a fun game.
Yeah, I totally agree. So, like, according to, like, I don't know, doofuses, that it degrades that game because it totally is a great game.
Well, this isn't an actual Mario game.
But also, like, people that like throw around that bit of trivia, like, hey, did you know Super Mario Bros. 2 wasn't really, you know, those are the same people that are like, did you know Final Fantasy 3 was actually Final Fantasy 6 in Japan? Like, just shut up with that. Ugh. Sorry, I have a personal problem, clearly.
Full disclosure, I would totally be the voice of one of those did you know gaming things. That sounds fun.
Yeah. Oh, my homeboy Matt McMuscles. He did an episode just a week or so ago on Travis Strikes Again and the No More Heroes franchise in general.
Nice.
Check that out. Yeah, it's real good. So, talking about the Nintendo Switch Online, that'll segment us right into our big news. The financial results event. There was additional Q&A, and we got some... Boy, my notes are all over the place. The sentence is weird.
What? Was any of this involved with Furukawa?
Yeah.
Can this be a Furukawa Kombat?
Yeah, roll it. Go ahead.
Anyway, continue.
Way to take the wind out of my sails. What are you, a wind waker?
I took the wind out of your sails because you were totally going in the opposite direction.
That's not true. You have to just let me create, okay? I'm a bird that just where the creativity is just flowing out like a bird. Okay. How will I salvage this episode? How? God. Stop it! You're embarrassing in front of me. All of my Goombas. You're embarrassing in front of Goombas. So this week, we got additional info from Nintendo's financial briefing with investors. This mostly comes from official transcripts from the Q&A session, and they're now in English. So some of the biggest points we'll be talking about. Number one is the Nintendo Switch Online. They have admitted that its service is kind of not amazing right now, and that they need to do some more to make Switch Online appeal to consumers and to stay subscribed. They mentioned and admitted, I'll say, that there is a growing percentage of people who are opting for shorter plans like the 1-month membership. And they said, quote, they're currently planning ways to boost the appeal of the service on a yearly basis, end quote. I think it's good to hear them admitting things like this because it gives me hope for what they'll do next to combat this.
Yeah.
Them knowing and stating that consumers and investors aren't 100% satisfied with the service is a great thing, and they know that they need to do more. What do you think?
Well, I'm definitely happy that they are, just like you said, they're kind of addressing the elephant in the room when it comes to Switch Online. They're saying that people aren't too confident, like they're still interested, but they're not sure it's something that they want to commit too much fully to. And Nintendo is definitely wanting to take steps to change that way of thinking.
Yeah, they're really showing that like they are committed to this thing. But it's just weird for them to be like, we're rolling out a online service. We don't know what we're doing. It's like, what is wrong with you? But at the same time, I'm also happy that these like low-level controversies will help to bring them to a better future.
Yeah. No, I mean, these are the growing pains that they need to go through and they need to admit to themselves before they can correct themselves and make sure that they are correcting themselves in the right way.
Yeah. They're going to check themselves before they wreck themselves. There was also some information about how Miyamoto delegates more responsibilities these days to younger developers, which is a very good thing.
Oh, yeah.
They said, quote, they are establishing unique Nintendo-like development structures, end quote. And they want to nurture the growth of those younger developers. Miyamoto was kind of saying sort of a quality over quantity sort of situation. And they talked about how it is very important to firmly maintain Nintendo-made quality of software. They don't want to just hire more developers. They are hiring, but they are focusing on nurturing more developers within Nintendo. I think that's great. Miyamoto also mentioned that he has a very positive attitude about R&D investment, which is also good. These are a bit more forward-thinking thought processes than you usually hear from a conservative business. So,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
No, I think this is absolutely fantastic to kind of have him state out front, yeah, we want to give more opportunities to our newer members and the people that we trust who will be able to bring that innovation to the team.
Right, look at the Splatoon, the big breakout hit that was that. That was all done by younger developers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is so important especially for somebody who is in an entertainment business, for them to realize when they need to secede their experience and lend that experience to somebody who is more in tune with the current demographics sense of entertainment. Yes,
I super agree with you on that.
He said a quote in this translation, and I absolutely love this quote. In baseball, if you want to hit a home run, you need to take a decisive swing to send the ball into the stands. Likewise, we take on the creation of bold new games without fear or failure. And because Nintendo has the strength for backing to do so, we can aim to hit home runs rather than try to squeeze bunt. To me, that's the entertainment business. And I feel like that is a beautiful analogy for kind of understanding the need for backing up when you want to try something new. You go all in and you believe that this is what you're going to do.
Okay, so when I read that, though, I was kind of like, Miyamoto-san, you've been taking your blood pressure medication lately? Because this is an analogy I'm kind of understanding, but I'm kind of like, what's going on, you know?
Really? I love this analogy. I love that quote.
I think I'm just a bit cynical on that, I guess. I don't know. I didn't hate it or something. I was just kind of like, I don't know, just staring, like waiting for him to stop talking kind of thing. But like just before that, it was a little bit annoying when he was like, the reason that he's doing this is not because he can't keep up with the sensibilities of younger people. And I'm like, dude, it's cool if you're not able to keep up with younger people like that. Like, just don't even pretend like you don't. You know, like he's a youthful, awesome guy and very creative, but don't be like you know what 11-year-olds are talking about right now. Because, wow, I don't know what 11-year-olds are talking about, not 11 people.
I'm looking at this from a different standpoint. I'm looking at this from Miyamoto has this personality around him. He has this kind of legacy to his name that everything that he's been attached to. I mean, he's been involved with Super Mario, Legend of Zelda,
Star Fox Zero.
Exactly. I mean, if Miyamoto comes on stage, that
was a dig.
Hey, Star Fox Zero was okay.
Star Fox Zero was not okay. Star Fox Zero was okay had Miyamoto gotten the F out of there after the initial planning stages.
So, gaming opinions aside.
Hot takes aside.
If Miyamoto stands on stage, it is reason for excitement. And it doesn't even matter what game he's going to be talking about. It's about that name. And this is him recognizing that he wants to be able to inspire a newer generation of developers to create the kind of games that got him this pedigree.
Yeah, that's good. I'm all about that.
I'm really excited to hear that he is actively taking steps on that.
So moving on, Nintendo also reiterated that they want multiple Switch consoles per household, so nothing really new there, but that's definitely their goal moving forward. They also reiterated that the 3DS is for entry-level gamers moving forward, and they want it to coexist alongside the Switch, even though sales have declined faster than expected for the Nintendo 3DS. I think that's kind of interesting. This is what they've been talking about the last year, and it's, I don't know if it's interesting or alarming or whatever, but it's of note that they are sticking to those thought processes for both of those topics.
Yeah. I don't think you can strive to have multiple Switches per house and still have multiple 3DSs per house. Like, I feel like that is a little bit of an optimistic and ambitious goal there.
Yeah, I'm wondering if those markets that they're expecting the majority of those markets don't overlap in their marketing research.
Yeah. The thing that worries me the most is if they truly are dedicated to maintain the appeal of the 3DS, but they still have no plans for newer games to be coming out. I mean, they have said in previous interviews they want to have the 3DS appeal because of its backlog.
Yeah.
Well, does that mean that what are the chances of those games that are on the backlog coming onto the Switch, or the series that were on these coming onto the Switch?
Right.
Like, is holding on to the desire of wanting to sell the 3DS, is that going to stifle the development and progress of these game series?
I don't think that they would go that far. I think that that's sort of like a fan worry, right? But from a business perspective, if they see that the games aren't really selling all that much, then they're going to put them on the console that has the higher sales, even though the install base is lower. I think it's just that while they are growing the Switch, they still need to let down the 3DS slowly and easily, because that's still just generating money for them, right?
Yeah.
Now that the Switch has gotten quite popular, I think we're going to see them tapering off from the 3DS a little bit faster than we anticipated.
Absolutely.
Which is fine. That's fine with me. 3DS was great.
I have to be completely honest. This is the first time we've really seen anything like this. I mean, this is the first time that we've seen a company come out with a console that has that portability and home appeal combined into one thing at the same time that they have had a dedicated portable unit. I mean, Sony with their PlayStation and the PSP or the PlayStation Vita. Like, there was no cross, like you couldn't really take the PlayStation 4 around with you. That's why you had the portability of the Vita. Now you have the Switch, which is Nintendo's dedicated home console, but you can take that around with you. So why have that dedicated portable option when you have this one that checks both boxes?
Right. That's why, in hindsight, my thought process is that they should have kept the Wii alive, and of course not gone with the Wii U. They should have kept the Wii branding games and party games and exercise games on the Wii and kept selling the Wii to grandmas and tiny babies and hospitals and stuff like that. That could be their 3DS business right now, but way more sensible, in my opinion.
Yeah. They should just find more museums to sell their 3DSs to for virtual tours.
So Nintendo also talked up their female development staff at Nintendo. During the QA session, they were asked about females in the workplace, and Nintendo mentioned that they have a very high number of females, particularly among their designers. They said, quote, "Many of them have children, and we have created an environment to work with comfort even for those who have children. I think that it is a very good workplace where women can participate actively and find satisfaction in their work," end quote. Nintendo also mentioned the director of the Animal Crossing series is a woman, in addition to many other female developers. Miyamoto says Nintendo's doing a better job than a lot of other Western development companies, as he had seen firsthand. And since Nintendo's work includes approaches to unique technologies, they believe female employees could increase in the near future as well, because the engineering field is typically pretty low when it comes to female engineers. It's usually male dominated.
Yeah.
Now, I think that this is a really important statement for several reasons relating to Japanese society. But before I go into that, any thoughts on this?
I don't think that there was any coincidence between the announcement of this and the announcement of the 50-50 split for male and female gamers.
Oh, but
those two announcements, I feel like, were definitely coming out at around the same time for a purpose.
Well, I disagree, though, because the demographics that we talked about a little bit earlier in the show, that came from, and I can't remember the source right now, it's written on our website on the article, but that came from a different source. That didn't come from Nintendo. And that also talks about consumers, Nintendo Switch users.
Okay.
This here that we're talking about is talking about developers and workers at Nintendo, I think specifically Nintendo of Japan only. And this came out at the Q&A briefing when prompted by a question about female developers. So I think it's really just a coincidence.
Okay. Maybe it definitely is. Regardless, I am always for diversity within any sort of workplace. And especially in a media format, I feel like in an entertainment industry, having the different viewpoints can bring about a lot of ingenuity and creative outlooks that for the longest time has been more of a male-dominated area.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely bringing apart some ideas and creative outlooks on things.
Yeah, I agree.
Your mentioning of the Animal Crossing, for example, being a female developer, like
director.
I apologize.
Yeah, so it's even more important.
Yeah. No, I feel like there are definitely a lot of important takeaways.
Yeah. So I wanted to mention Japanese society in relation to these statements. It's very important due to Japanese society for several reasons.
Okay.
Japan currently has a sharply declining birth rate, and it's part of that. It's a very complex social phenomena, but part of that is because many women are choosing careers over having children or a family. Number two is that Japanese business culture has not been kind to women in traditional jobs. Oftentimes, college is just basically, and I'm using air quotes here, like secretary finishing school for ladies. And there's a really dense glass ceiling for women in traditional business settings in Japan. So if these statements are true, Nintendo is not only saying that they're being more progressive for women, but they're encouraging the growth of society and trying to rectify some of these, not rectify, but react to some of these negative effects on their society by encouraging women who want to have a career and a family. They're saying you can have both. Again, to what degree they're doing this, whether this is just lip service or whatever, we don't really know. Hopefully it is true, because this is a great thing. And
Yeah,
I hope that it's actually happening this way, because that is just such a shame. I can't imagine being in a position where I want to have this career that I'm really passionate about, but I'd also like to have a family, and I have to choose A or B. And that's the way that it has been viewed for a lot of women in Japan. Japan still has kind of a business culture that's stuck in like 1950s America, and it's such a shame. So hopefully this is a good step, and hopefully this is true.
They've now set a precedent of expectations.
Yeah, I'd say so to a degree.
Yeah, and I just feel like this is definitely a correct step forward.
Yeah. Keep it up, Nintendo. Please be forward thinking. Please be progressive. I think that that's a lot to ask from Nintendo, but I can hope for society, right? Nintendo also said that there are, quote, unannounced games in development, some of which we're preparing for release this year, end quote, and that they don't really anticipate delays. So freaking duh. I see a lot of comments of people like freaking out, like, Nintendo has nothing planned for 2019. There's a game drought in 2019. Like, just chill. It's the beginning of February. I know it's frustrating that there isn't a direct yet, but don't pretend like, is this your first year following game releases? Like, that's not how it works, you know? So it is frustrating that there hasn't been a direct yet. I get it. I want one too, but it doesn't mean that these things don't exist yet. So there's games. There's gonna be games. Chill out.
Oh yeah.
There's already actually quite a bit. It's just that, I don't know, people be crazy and they want to be sensationalist, you know?
This is kind of a no-brainer on this one.
Yeah.
Like, of course they have games they haven't talked about, especially with the whole moving back of Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, they're gonna bolster something up. They're gonna pull something out of the trash, like Super
Exactly.
Mario Sunshine. Oh! Shots fired. Dab, dab, dab.
Oh, you're gonna need so much polish on that game.
No, it's not bad. I just didn't like it, and that was back when it first came out.
Yeah, I don't know. The game was okay. It was fun to run around with a flood.
I just didn't like spraying everything with water. I just wanted to do more Jumpman stuff.
This game is literally the opposite of Mario Paint.
And Nintendo ultimately, in all of these different statements and whatnot, they kind of admitted that there were missed opportunities in terms of reducing their sales forecast from 20 million down to 17 million for the year. They said how April to September, year-over-year sales did increase, but it wasn't big enough, which affected the revision. What?
The fact that it wasn't a big enough on the sales for one of the fastest selling consoles that I have seen so far.
Yeah. But I mean, they're responding directly to what's up with the revision in sales forecast from 20 million. So,
Gotcha, yeah.
You know, it makes sense, and it's good for them to say these kinds of things, because then it gives me more hope for this year. If they don't do anything, and it's still kind of the same as last year, which I don't think was bad, but it was a little on the quieter side, which I more or less anticipated. You know, if they don't do anything and it's even quieter than this past year, I'll be disappointed for sure. So we got to wait and see them putting their money where their mouth is, and I have hope.
Yeah. Nintendo's always been really good about kind of recognizing when they have missed stuff, coming out and taking ownership of that.
Yeah, they do that. Whether it's a little bit too late or not. I don't know about too late, but like whether it's later than we would have liked or not.
Yeah.
They do ultimately come to that conclusion. Nintendo also just said that they have plans and that they're going to talk about this year at a later time, but they want to further increase both hardware and software even more this year. They want to further enrich software lineup to appeal to consumers who are deciding whether or not they want to buy a Switch this calendar year. Good.
Get a Switch.
Yeah.
I'm going to need more people to sell things to in Animal Crossing.
I think when that game comes out, we're going to see a big surge of people finally pick up their Switch.
When that game comes out, you're going to have trouble getting a hold of me because I'm going to be like in whatever I name my town.
I will have to take the train over to your town in order to find you and be like, hello? So we had so much more news that we actually couldn't even talk about. So check out our website, nintendoeverything.com, for even more details on what we talked about.
I've got one topic in particular in regards to a game that you guys have actually talked about before I came on here that I'm really excited to get my my 2 bits in on.
What game could it be? Maybe next episode we'll talk about it, whatever it is.
All right.
So let's talk about our additional DLC for this week. My additional DLC is a YouTube video of a live music performance by Sheena Ringo. Sheena Ringo is a brilliant musical masterpiece. Musical genius. Musical genius. This is one of her newest singles called Kono Jinsei wa Yume Darake, or its Western title, which is in French. I don't speak French, but I will give it a try. Feel free to burn me at the stake for it. It is Ma vie, mes rêves. How did I do, French speakers?
I'm still trying to comprehend the sentence of what you just said. It's Western title translated into French from Japanese.
So she always has a Western title for her Japanese songs, and when I say Western, I mean a Western language. So sometimes it's English, French, German. Like, there's 2 titles for the song, and there's a Western one and a Japanese one. That's it.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah, she's a very, very creative and artistic lady. She's actually doing, I don't think all of it, but a big lion's share of the music for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. So she's an important figure. She's like brilliant and crazy and weird like Bjork. And this song is a very Bjork-esque song. I really hope that you guys will check it out. It's full of these beautiful brass sounds, this beautiful piano, and I don't want to say too much about it other than it is truly breathtaking. Please do check it out. It's only 3 minutes and 30 seconds of pure genius flowing out. Also, I've been on a Sheena Ringo kick because of Resident Evil 2, and Ada Wong in that with her trench coat gives me so many Sheena Ringo vibes, and I'm just like, oh, I love her. So that's part of why. If you like the way that Ada Wong looks and acts in Resident Evil 2, the remake, then check out this video because this is for you. You don't even know it yet, but it is.
But if you like the way that Ada plays in the new Resident Evil remake, then something's wrong with you because I did not like that section.
Oh yeah, that's a discussion for another time.
Yeah.
Galen, what DLC you got for the listeners this week?
So, longtime listeners will know that I am a bit of a fan of the pen and paper RPG. My additional DLC this week is XP to level 3 on YouTube. He's a YouTube content creator that deals a lot with D&D in particular, tells stories from some of the games that he's had, does a breakdown on some of the character classes. He actually does a really entertaining series where he takes like the thief or the rogue or the paladin and it does some skits to kind of go along with it, but breaks it down in an understandable format to somebody who may be new to the game, yet it's still entertaining for even longtime players. The link that we'll have in the video is actually for his latest video where he does D&D characters based on Super Smash Bros. Fighters.
Oh, that's really cool. That's nice. That's some cross promotion with another series. And then I also really liked how you said good for entry-level people, but also for the advanced people.
Yeah, no. He's kind of a nerdier humor format, but I mean, what I like about this video that he just put up is like, if you want to play as Captain Falcon, okay, so you want to make a monk, you want to give him this kind of a pathway when you're actually growing the character, and then just RP it to your heart's content when you actually play the game. So
That's
I thought
nice.
it was really fun. It was a nice take on it. Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So links will be in the description for both of those.
Yes.
Now it's time for our favorite segments, Listener Mail.
Dun 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 dun, dun listener mail. How'd I do?
That was good. That was nice. If you have an email and you want to send it to us, we'll talk about it. We'll read it. We'll think about it. Send it to us at nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com. What's the email, Galen?
That email is nintendoeverythingpod@gmail.com.
And if you wrote us in, might sound a little something like this. This week's email is from our good friend, Kazuo. Kazuo wrote to us a while ago and it went to our spam folder. Really sorry, Kazuo. Galen found it just before the show, so we're reading it now. Real sorry. We'll check the spam folder from now on. I don't know why. That's weird.
Huh?
So we happened to talk about Nintendo Labo, so he brings up Labo here, so we're going to read that out. Kazuo writes, I have been intrigued by Nintendo Labo myself, but never bought any of the sets as I wasn't interested enough in the games and the price is a bit high for me to get into. I totally agree with him.
Mm-hmm.
I've ordered the piano Labo separately, however, as quote-unquote replacement parts. I think that functionality in other games could be a good way to help sell more kits, as it's what got me to buy the piano for demo. The piano was about 2 to 3 hours to make. Wow. But it's kind of fun making and seeing all the cardboard turn into a piano. I've had a good amount of fun playing demo with it, and more songs are being added for Labo in the near future, and I'm really looking forward to it. It will be interesting to see what else Labo has for it in the future, and if more games get more support for it, I think I could see myself buying a set for the right price and game. Totally agree, Kazuo.
Yeah.
So, on to his question. What is a dead/inactive video game series that you would like to see return, and is there something new you would like to see added to it, or a new type of playstyle perhaps? Thank you so much for writing in, Kazuo.
Thanks, Kazuo.
I love this question because it's something I actually think about quite a lot.
Absolutely.
You want to go first, Galen?
Mega Man Legends! Oh my god, bring that series back. What are you doing? You went as far as to bring out a demo on the 3DS for the third game, only in Japan, which is a twist of the knife right there for me, who doesn't have a Japanese 3DS. And, oh my god, you canceled it! Bring it back, please!
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Sorry, I freaked out there. But, I mean, there's so much you can actually do with Legends as a series, especially with this kick that Capcom has been going on right now. Like, this is what, the 25th year anniversary of Mega Man?
I don't know.
The 30th year? I know it's like a monumental anniversary year this year.
Every year is a monumental release for some game. I can't keep up with all this crap.
But no, I mean, you could very easily... my biggest complaint on the previous Mega Man Legends games was it originally came out in that time on the PlayStation 1 where you were still trying to figure out how to do essentially a third-person shooter, which is kind of what it was.
Right. No Z targeting.
Yeah. It could very easily just have a bit of a tune-up, take a little bit from how some of their other more refined third-person viewpoint games play, and it would be phenomenal. I mean, there's so many people who want this game.
Yeah, it had this really nice story-driven, almost Metroidvania-style progress.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that first game. As unintuitive, I don't know if I'm saying unintuitive, but just unpolished as the first game's controls are, everything else I love about that game. The personality is all there. You want to discover this mystery, and the story is intriguing and it carries you along and you love the characters. I constantly go back to that game to replay the first one.
I want to hang out with Data. I want to fly with Roll in the Flutter. I want to go ahead and get chased down by the Gessel Shaft. I want to hunt and polish up my refractor shards, and I want my shining laser, damn it. Nice. Sorry, I really want that game.
Yeah. Me too. I want to see a new monkey to go along with Data, but call him Status.
No, just call him Cloud, because the Cloud saves. Odie, what do you got? What do you want to see coming around?
So for me, it was hard to narrow this down to which one I want to talk about, because there's a lot. I could talk about this a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But I think I'm going to say Ice Climbers.
Really?
Yeah, because that has not come out since... Has there been one since the NES?
No, classic NES.
That's the only one, right? So, honestly, go any freaking direction with it. My biggest thing is that there's two of you. There's Popo and Nana. So make it a co-op experience, whatever it is. Make it a co-op thing. Maybe make it a puzzler, whether it's an action puzzle game or... Why are you laughing?
Because I'm thinking of a gritty reboot for Ice Climbers turned into a survival horror game now.
Don't go that direction. Make it maybe an action puzzler or a platformer puzzler game. I think I'd like to see action puzzler though, because you know the Ice Climbers, they break blocks and stuff. So solve puzzles, hit enemies, make it be third person. I'm all about it. I like Nintendo's puzzle action games a lot. Mm-hmm. I think that they could change Ice Climbers into like classic Zelda format, classic third person Zelda, like Ocarina of Time kind of thing, and they could build up those characters. You could turn them into people that really have personalities and characters that you really love. Like there's such a blank slate and recognizable character because of Smash Bros that you really have something right there. I would love to see that.
I would be interested in a puzzle platformer version of Ice Climbers.
So thank you so much for writing in, Cosmo. That was a great question.
That was a fun question. I like that one.
Love it. Love it.
I still want my legends.
So stay tuned next week where we'll be talking about a little bit of leftover bits that we really want to get to and anything else that's coming up this week. If it comes up this week and you hear about it, we're going to be talking about it, especially if it's big.
Mm-hmm.
Check out our website for up-to-date news, big and small. That's nintendoeverything.com. We've also got a Twitter @nineverything. And of course the lovely YouTube. That's youtube.com/nineverything. Then if you want to tweet at me, you want to hear me talking about how cute Yoshi is because that game's coming up. I just tweeted out some Poochie puppies. They're so cute. They're like little beans. They're so cute. You can find me on Twitter @Oni_Dino.
Should they follow you if they want to follow all of your Poochies?
Yes. Follow my Poochies. There are jokes here, but they're gone now.
Still waiting on those Magikarps.
What about you, Galen?
If you guys want to follow me, you can always find me at Mobius087. Bit of an update, my secret project is coming along quite nicely. I'm actually in the stage where I am giving final polishing to it as well. So very excited about this and hopefully gonna have something to announce pretty soon.
He's building a Gundam.
Yeah. Just waiting for the paint to dry.
So stay tuned for next week. Think about giving us that iTunes rating. Share it with any of your friends. Help us grow the show. We're really appreciative of all of your help. If you guys are listening right now, you're at the very end of the show. You guys are the true MVPs. You guys are the real listeners. You know what I'm saying? Some people, they duck out at the middle of the show, or maybe they said something, or I said something that really upset them and they never listened to us again. That happens. But everybody that's listening right now, we love you guys.
For those true MVPs that are still listening in, remember that you guys, just you guys, can unlock us in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate by beating Cruel Melee with 10 melee kills.
Nope, 20.
Oh, 20.
Yep.
20 melee kills.
That's getting Sonic unlocked in Melee. That was the biggest thing. I forgot which magazine was that. Which magazine was that?
Sonic and Tails.
And Tails?
That was,
okay.
Yep. And that was classic. Oh god, I want to say it was Nintendo Power. Don't quote me on that. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think about like...
I had that magazine. What is that?
If you had the magazine, it was not Game Informer because I had the subscription to Game Informer and you didn't, I remember. Because we tried to like layer up on different things. so we can get all the information. See, we've been doing this for a long time, just being knowledgeable about video games and talking like idiots. It's only natural that we go to the podcast format. Wow, this is a bad ending.
I'm Google fooing right now. It's EGM. That's the magazine that it came out in.
Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Yeah, wow.
Those bastards. We tried a lot.
We tried for a solid, we spent a weekend on that.
Yeah, and then one of us did it. And then we were like, what?
Oh, man.
So much
Good
hate,
times.
so much self-hate. Okay, sorry. Bye. Thank you.
Later, guys.
Wait, no, hold on. We can't do that. We have to do the thing. Hold on. For everything Nintendo,
stay tuned to Nintendo Everything.
Bye-bye.
I still want Legends!